Advertisement. Peng Shuai gave a forced confession during a heavily stage-managed interview with foreign media in which she denied her own allegation of sexual assault against a top Chinese official, human rights activists have said. Peng, 36, disappeared for 3 weeks last year after claiming China's ex-deputy premier Zhang Gaoli forced her into sex during a years-long affair, with all mention of her claim expunged from the internet by Beijing censors. On Sunday at the Winter Olympics, she gave her first interview to foreign media since vanishing, telling French magazine L'Equipe that she never said she had been sexually assaulted and that she never disappeared. Claims to the contrary were all an enormous misunderstanding, Peng said. But Teng Biao, a Chinese human rights lawyer, has since branded the interview a forced confession that Peng gave under great pressure, mirroring tactics used by China against human rights activists in the past. Images released of the interview even show Chinese officials standing in the room with Peng while she speaks, with L'Equipe saying Beijing insisted on sending translators to the sit-down even though Peng speaks English. Peng Shuai, the Chinese tennis player who last year accused a senior politician of rape, sat down for an interview with foreign media in Beijing, with Chinese officials visible in the room. Peng, left and right before disappearing, sat down for an hour-long interview to deny her previous claims in what observers liken to a forced confession. At least one of the officials is thought to have been Wang Kan, the Chinese Olympic Committee Chief of Staff, though it is unclear who other men shown in mirror reflections are. Yaqi Wang, a senior China researcher for Human Rights Watch, said the interview is part of Communist Party propaganda and urged organizations to think twice before engaging with Peng, knowing she can't speak freely. L'Equipe's editors appear to have been aware of the risks when its journalists sat down with Peng in a Beijing hotel on Sunday, saying they knew the interview would be subject to limits and constraints and that she would only repeat words she already gave to state media. But editors said they still wanted to go ahead with the interview to check that Peng was physically in good health. Among the limits placed on the interview were that all questions had to be submitted in advance and that Peng would answer only in Chinese, with an official present throughout the interview to translate. L'Equipe was able to supply its own translator to double-check the accuracy of the official's remarks. The interview was scheduled to last half an hour but ran to almost an hour, and the magazine said its reporters were allowed to ask some questions that were not agreed in advance. However, in answer to key questions, Peng gave nearly identical answers to those printed in Chinese state media and gave no alternative explanation for what her words meant or why she wrote them. L'Equipe agreed to publish her answers, verbatim, in a question and answer format. Sexual assault. I never said that anyone made me submit to a sexual assault, the newspaper quoted her as saying. This post resulted in an enormous misunderstanding from the outside world, she also said. My wish is that the meaning of this post no longer be skewed. Asked why the post disappeared from Peng's account, she said, I erased it. Asked why, she said, because I wanted to. The obvious follow-up question as to why she posted in the first place wasn't asked. She added, first of all, I would like to thank all the ATP and WTA players, all the athletes and all the personalities in large numbers who cared about me. But I didn't think there would be such concern, and I would like to know, why such concern? I never said anyone sexually assaulted me in any way. I never disappeared, everyone could see me. It's just that a lot of people, like my friends, including from the IOC, messaged me, and it was quite impossible to reply to so many messages. Peng accused Zhang Gaoli, the country's former vice premier, of sexual assault in November. At the Australian Open, fans will wear as Peng Shuai t-shirts in support of the tennis star. But with my close friends, I always remained in close contact. I discussed with them, answered their emails, I also discussed with the WTA. But, at the end of the year, their website's communication computer was changed and many players had difficulty logging in at that time. But we always kept in touch with colleagues. That's why I don't know why the information that I had disappeared, spread. This post has given rise to a huge misunderstanding from the outside world. I hope that we no longer distort the meaning of this post. And I also hope that we don't add more hype on this. Peng claims she was partially unaware of the international storm that followed the sudden deleting of her social media post. In the subsequent weeks, Steve Simon, the president of the WTA, which governs women's tennis, announced a suspension of their tournaments in China. Peng said, "I don't think I was aware of it all, global interest, because I don't watch the news from foreign media much," she added. "I can't read in English, but I heard about it. I never thought there'd be such worry, though, and I'd like to know why was that the case." Peng added, "I didn't choose anything. Like everyone, like you, I saw the statement on the official WTA website. The Chinese star had been seen and heard only via a few stage-managed public appearances. It was very unusual for me. Why would I need psychological assistance or that sort of thing? I didn't know how I should figure it out. But if the WTA psychologists couldn't reach me and thought that I had disappeared, I think that's a bit exaggerated." So after reading this statement, I responded to WTA President Steve Simon myself. Several copies were sent, and these emails I wrote myself. This is my personal statement. The same evening, I also sent it by WeChat to my colleagues in the players department in order to personally confirm that I was the author of the messages sent from my work email. Peng, already a household name in China, having become the first Chinese player to be ranked #1 in doubles by the Women's Tennis Association, shot to global prominence with her now notorious post on November 2nd. Writing on Chinese social media site Weibo, Peng revealed that she and Zhang, who is married, had been involved in an on-off affair dating back to 2011 when the pair met in the port city of Tianjin. The post details how Peng slept with Zhang once that year, and possibly a second time before he was promoted to the upper echelons of China's Communist Party and cut all ties with her. But he allegedly rekindled the affair in 2018 after his retirement from politics, by inviting Peng for dinner with his wife, after which he pressured her into sex. Peng recalls crying and refusing Zhang's advances, before eventually relenting. That kicked off a 3-year affair, Peng alleged, which she described as unpleasant. In the post, she admitted to having no evidence that the affair ever took place because Zhang insisted on keeping it a total secret. It is not clear why she chose to reveal the affair, though her post concluded, "You've said you are not afraid. But even as an egg holder to rock, a moth to a flame for self-destruction, I will speak the truth with you." Peng made the allegations in a lengthy social media post on Weibo, which was quickly deleted before her account was heavily censored. Naomi Osaka used the hashtag #Where'sPengShuai as she expressed her shock on Twitter. Andy Murray then joined the search as the world reacted to the news of her disappearance. The post was taken down within 20 minutes of being uploaded to Weibo, which is heavily monitored by the Chinese state. Peng then disappeared from public view, and was not seen or heard from for several weeks afterwards. For a time, the only statement issued was an email purporting to be from her to tennis officials denying that she was in any danger. However, the email actually appeared to be a screenshot of a word processor document and contained errors heavily suggesting it was not genuine. In late November, Peng reappeared in social media posts that appeared to show her going about her life in Beijing. But fears for her safety remained because all the images and video were uploaded by officials with strong links to the Communist Party or to sports authorities. She then spoke out for the first time to deny any allegations of sexual assault remarks relayed to the world by state-controlled media.